What's up, YouTube Gen X? I really wish I could live forever, but unfortunately, we can't live forever. So we have to be mindful of the fact that we have to pass on not only what we have built financially, but also a certain mindset. So here's the problem. Um, where should I start? We're not going to get everything back in this one generation. What annoys me is people aren't thinking on the long-term scale. The sort of white power, whether it's held by the masses of white people or by a small handful of white people, right, that has slowly grown and developed over time, not just with one generation, right? So this idea that this generation of black men is going to get everything back, no, it's not going to happen. We are laying the foundation. If we're building something, we are, let's say we're at a point where we're kind of grading the dirt, you know what I mean? So you're clearing everything out, making everything smooth so you can come through and lay the foundation. We're at the beginnings. I don't even know if we have a blueprint yet. All we are doing right now is clearing off the land, right? We're not sure what we're going to build. We're not sure how we're going to build it, but we know that something's going to go up here. So we're at the forefront, right? And it's going to take a long time, and to be real with you, what we want to see, we're not going to be able to outlive. So we're not going to be, not outlive, but we're not going to be around to see this sort of grand vision, right? Hopefully we can see where it can be. We can have the bits and pieces here and there, so you can have that visual, you can start to visualize how it's going to look, right? You know how it is when somebody's building a house and they just have the frame up, they're done laying the foundation and they're starting to put the frame up. So you can kind of walk through and say, oh, here's where the kitchen is going to be. Oh, that's where the den is going to be. That's where the library is going to be, right? Hopefully we can get to that point. But what's going to happen? You have to pass on, obviously, what you've built to the next generation, but also the mindset. And this is what I'm trying to get at, right? Think about it. You have your well-to-do black men, whether they're middle, upper class, blue collar, white collar, they're trying to build. But unfortunately, right, they're going to have children that are going to be disconnected from the bullshit in the black community. And because the numbers aren't enough, what are they supposed to do? By default, they're going to feel like they're more in touch with non-black communities, or they're going to feel like they're not a part of the community. So if anything, they may go off and be neutral. Right? I don't identify with the black community. I'm going to go off and live on my own island. So yeah, will our children have the financial resources? Of course. But what are they going to do with it? Right? And for whatever they do with it, are you sure that's going to benefit the black community? This is the point that I'm trying to bring up. If your kids don't share your same vision, nothing's going to happen. Right? You look at, give me any successful family of white men, and you can see that the great-great-grandfather had one vision, right, that got passed on to the kids, and the kids adopted, that vision, and they adopted, or excuse me, they inherited the financial resources, and they repeated what the dad did, and they passed that on. So not only do you have the passing of the financial resources, right, you have the passing of the viewpoints that are adopted. But you're looking at what's going on now, and we're struggling as it is to have this sort of, black community, what can we do, what can we build, right? Even if we do remove, your bullshit black people who just don't want to get their shit together, that's the problem. The kids are going to be in that sort of, I don't fit into the black community, I have these financial resources, what am I going to do with it? Right? And this grand vision, whether you like to, think this way or not, isn't going to be at the helm of black America. It's not. Right? I'm not a product of this myself, but how I grew up, I was around, let's say, other black kids, right, that were detached from the black community, right? So now that they're older, mid-20s, late 20s, there's no real connection. They're off doing their own life. There's no sort of collective mentality, even with other middle or upper class black people, because they're disconnected, right? And I also grew up with, multiracial, biracial black men and women as well, right? I was kind of at the beginning of your sort of black dad, Asian mom, or white mom off in the suburbs sort of lifestyle, right? At least in Southern California. And I'm seeing these kids once again now get to mid-20s, early 30s, and there's no connection, right? So the financial resources that were passed upon to them, what are they going to be used for? Right? Because they don't share, well, their parents never had the vision, right? And so they don't have the vision. So it's a tough situation to look at. I mean, I don't think people are understanding. We see what we need to do and how it can be done. But then to get the children to buy into that, right? Considering how they're going to be treated. Considering that how your black son, by default, is going to be kicked out of the black community across the board. To assume that he's going to hold on to the same, I guess you want to call it, pseudo pro-black mentality, right, when it comes to building and whatnot, I just don't see it happening like that. I truly don't. So, once again, everything sounds good if we were going to live forever. And if we can, make up the slack with your handful of black men that come together. But it's going to take some time. It's going to take generation after generation that have the same mindset, right? They're going to come through. They have to have the same mindset so that they can use the financial resources that we have to continue the vision, right? We're going to die, and there's going to be this, foundation, and part of the framework is going up, and we're like, yeah, this is going to be, some company that, and when it's up and running, we're going to be hiring black people and, doing this and doing that and donating money to this community and that community. That's our vision. We die off, our son or daughter comes through, and now it's time for them to pick up the vision, right? But then they don't have that connection to the black community, so what are they going to do? Right, well, we're going to use it to build this and build that, and, we're going to employ people. They may not be black, who knows, whatever money that we get, we may donate here or donate there. But as far as the black community, well, I'm not connected to the black community. I got shunned. I got rejected. I'm not really part of the black community like that. So, I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, that may have been Dad's vision, but this isn't my vision. Right? It is what it is. And that's the problem. In my opinion, that is the problem. How do you get the next generation of black men and women to buy in? See, I'm very optimistic when it comes to this current generation of black men actually coming together and seeing what can happen. I really am, because this same sort of conversation I'm already having with the group of black men that I went to college with. We're already talking about what we should do later on, because everybody's off in their own little field. I'm in education, some are in law, medicine, accounting, across the board. And we're already having these conversations, so in my opinion, I have no doubt we'll get somewhere. I have no doubt in my mind. I'm not even worried about that, to be real with you. Right? I truly do believe that we will have pockets of younger black men that will come together and get it, because we'll be in a position to have fully analyzed what the generation before did wrong, in terms of what our parents did wrong in regards to them making good money, but then not owning anything, right? Them just running off to the burbs and hiding. Like I said before, all my uncles are at a point where they've made good money, but they're upset because they didn't build anything to pass on. So there's a lot of us that have those same stories, so we're going to be okay there. I truly do believe that. Whether you're working at the individual level trying to build something, or whether you're coming together working with other black men to put something together, right? We have a lot of savvy, Especially for a lot of black men that are able to navigate, white America and not be afraid of corporate white America, because I'm not, right? It's a different generation, and we're not so fearful of some white man in a suit with a beard coming down and, pulling our strings like a puppet master. We don't have that fear, so we'll be okay. But once again, I get concerned with the generation. Whether my kids are black or biracial or whatever, they're going to grow up in a world where there's not going to be a lot of other black kids that have the same sort of upbringing, right? So you're questioning their level of commitment to the black community overall, and once again, I can't fault them. I can't fault them for being disconnected, right? So whatever we build, how is it going to be used? There has to be a vision passed on to the next generation, and I think that's the key. Or at least that's where my attention is. How do we start to understand how to pass on that vision to the next generation so that they understand what we're trying to build and they can continue working in that same direction, right? In terms of understanding, that you're trying to build this sort of black, powerful sort of ruling class, right? But to do so, you have to have some level of understanding of, the value of being pro-black and identifying with, keeping it black and keeping it in the community. But at the same time, they're not growing up with that. They're not growing up in that sort of environment. For me, I would say that I was fortunate enough to catch the tail end of the late 80s, early 90s, where you kind of got an understanding of what a black community could be like, how it can function, the strong black family, right? But this new generation, they don't have it. They don't have it at all, even in terms of my own family. And the other upper middle class black kids, they don't have it, right? Any black kid under the age of, let's say, 20, they've been exposed to a whole different, culture. They're 90s babies, right? Where the black community already started to decay. So you're sitting back and you're like, damn, right? Will they ever be in a position to understand the vision that I'm trying to build, right? Will they? So anyways, that's my vid. I know I've said a lot. I just want to help people put everything in a proper perspective and understand the timeline. This is going to be generational, and we're at the foundation. That's all. If I have my own business, is it going to be a multi-million-dollar business? Hey, I hope so, but maybe not. Maybe I'm bringing in, let's say, $120K a year, but I pass that on to my son, and he's going to make that grow. That's the vision, so that my grandson is going to be running a multi-million-dollar business, right? But once again, what's going to happen with the grandson? How is he going to view the world, black people, and how he should operate all those financial resources? Or not even just him, my other grandchildren, all my other grandsons that are going to be within the company working and whatnot. What's their vision, right? So anyways, that's my vid. Y'all take it easy. God bless.